What's up, everyone? Chris here from Next Man Up. It's another Hard Knocks recap. I'm here to recap episode 3, and I'm not going to wait much longer, and let's go. What's up, everyone? As you know, I've been recapping these episodes of Hard Knocks. I haven't been the biggest fan of this season, to be honest, because I feel like they haven't given us a lot of personality stuff, haven't given us a lot of family stuff. And, we finally got a little bit more of that in this episode, and I'm happy about that. We finally got some families. We had Tanzil Smart's family. We had Izzy Abanaconda's family. So we have some more outside of the field stuff in this episode, which is nice. Not too much veered off the field. It was still very practice and pre-season centric, but we did get some more of who they were and kind of where they come from a little bit more, which is good. But I'm going to go through the episode, kind of break down different parts. So one of the first things that stood out to me was Randall Cobb talking to the receivers on the field, saying that they weren't having great practice. And he says, 8's going to blow up on you if you don't get your stuff together. And I'm just like, there's a few times in this season that I've noticed, Aaron Rodgers has a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more pull on this team than you would like to think / hope that a player would have. It kind of makes you wonder who's running this team, who's running it, who's in charge, who's running the offense. They have Nathaniel Hackett. He has a history with Rodgers, but Nathaniel Hackett's episode just had a really weird moment with Breece Hall. I think he's just a weird dude. Just a weird dude, and that's kind of where I'm at with him. I don't really have much more to say about Nathaniel Hackett, but when Cobb says to the receivers, because Cobb's been with him for a while, says, you got to get your stuff together, or he's not going to throw you the ball. He's not going to do that. Like, it's very much concerning in that regard, where it's like, okay, he's a player just like you. Yes, he's one of, quote unquote, the best quarterbacks of all time. Yes, he's got a lot of experience. He has a lot of success, but, there are coaches to do their jobs. Rodgers can kind of be a coach at times, which is fine, but there's a little bit of a line where I think players need to kind of know their place in a way. Like, yes, he has some say because it is essentially his offense. He's the quarterback on the field. He makes the calls on the field. He makes audibles, etc. But when it comes to players talking about how he's going to blow up on you, who's really in charge of this team? Saleh had a good moment where, he gives his speech and, he talks about the different types of people that you can find on the field and which guys they're looking for. He talks about how there's contenders, commanders, competitors, and I forget what the fourth one was, but it was kind of just, the coast. I think it was coasters, the guys that just kind of get by, the guys that fight, and then the guys that truly show their passion. They're looking for competitors and commanders. So that's kind of what you expect them to say. He's had some cliche coaching moments with his speeches and stuff like that, and his way of motivation. I think the players do like playing for him. I think that he gets a good message across to the players. So, and when he's giving those speeches, it cuts to Michael Clemens and he looks like he's ready to get right into it. He's like, oh, let's go. Like, for a big guy like that, it's good to see that. I'd like to see a little bit more of Michael Clemens. I think that there is something untapped there that we could definitely, tap into. As I mentioned, the first episode, I've watched One Jets Drive. I've been watching every episode of that as well. And I think that does a better job of showing the off the field stuff. One of the episodes, it had Michael Clemens doing yoga and stuff like that. In the most recent One Jets Drive, it had Breece Hall, kind of going to his house, talking to him, kind of seeing where his recovery is at, sort of thing. And, he talks about like different things that he wanted. And, he has his little robot vacuum. Like, those are the kind of, things and, that I'd like to see more of in Hard Knocks. But as I said last week, we're just not getting that, and we're going to have to deal with that. Speaking of Breece Hall, we finally got down to, them showing him recovering a little bit. I thought that was going to be one of the big stories, was his road to recovery. But we haven't really seen him at all until this episode, which was when he finally got cleared to practice. So I guess they were waiting until he was cleared to actually feature him. But, it was more so just him talking about the recovery, showing some of his recovery steps. And it was good to kind of get the insight of, what goes through your head when you're going through that sort of thing, whether it's, how your recovery is going, how it feels. You're on top of the world 1 second, next second you're down. So it's good to kind of show that side of things. He was on the road to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. It went to his teammate last year, but he was definitely on that path going into week 6, 7, whenever it happened. And it was a shame to see that happen. So moving forward, Woody Johnson, we get more of him. I think this is the most we've had of an owner in a Hard Knocks season. Jerry Jones aside, I'm not even going to touch him because he's Jerry Jones and he's, the whole show. Like he takes all the attention. That is what it is. But Woody Johnson, we got a moment of him talking to the team and we see him unveil this chain that he got that was very reminiscent of Sauce's chain that says sauce across it. So, it's him kind of, it felt very much like a hello fellow kids moment, the Steve Buscemi meme. It's like, oh, look what I could do. I could be hip and cool too. It's like, all right, yeah, I get it. Like, you're trying to fit in, trying to be relatable, but you're not. And that's just what it is. I think that he meddles a little too much. He's been breathing down Salah's neck just about every episode. We didn't see him so much in this episode doing it, but we've seen it every episode until now. And now he's just looks like he's trying to get relatable with the players and stuff like that. So that was kind of weird. Now they get the combined practice with the Bucks. You have Quinnen Williams, some good quotes from him, like about how he was called fat by Mike Evans. He's like, yo, Mike Evans called me fat. And he's talking to the other guys, am I fat? And then Michael Clemens looks at him, you're not skinny, but you're fit for a non-skinny person. Like it's funny getting those interactions. I think that we need more of Quinnen Williams. We need more of that. I'd like to see more of the personality of the players. We're finally tapping into that a little bit. Want a little bit more of it. We got some more family stuff. As I said, we had Randall Cobb and his wife, him talking about his last season with Rodgers and Green Bay. And that was nice to kind of see how it was coming full circle and, get his wife and his 2 kids and how he's got a 3rd one on the way. So congratulations to the Cobb family, or as they call it, the Cobb mob. But it's good to see those sides of players. It felt very Hard Knocks in this episode, if that makes sense. As I said, the last few weeks hasn't felt like the Hard Knocks that we've come to watch every year. There haven't been the storylines, there haven't been the families, there haven't been the bubble players really being highlighted because they're not showing the guts and the this and the that. But, they alluded to Tanzil Smart. He's been a bit of a journeyman. It's his 7th year. It's his 4th year with the Jets. So he finally kind of found his place, but he's still a bubble player because defensive line is a very deep position for them. So it was good to see him kind of talk about his experience a little bit. It showed his wife during the preseason game with his daughter. And that's the kind of stuff I've been looking for. Where has that been the last 2 episodes in the preseason games? We haven't had families during the preseason games. That's usually the focus of the preseason games in the show. We haven't gotten that at all. We finally got it in this episode with both Tanzil Smart and Izzy Abanikanda family. Ironically enough, it's a game when Izzy Abanikanda hurt his knee. He went knee to knee with another player, but I know that based on reports, it looks like he should be good to go. They avoided some serious injuries. So hopefully we do get to see Izzy on the field, if not week 1 early in the season, because I think he has that home run speed, which they alluded to in the episode as well. So it'd be nice to see that. Speaking of running backs, we did get a Dalvin Cook sighting. They did show him. They talked to, they had him a little bit. It wasn't too focused on him, which I'm fine with. Obviously he doesn't have much experience with the team yet. He just had a kid. I don't know if the report came out that he actually had the kid or not, but you see Rodgers talking to him, say, oh, they're inducing her this weekend. It's, it's going to be a long night, good luck, happy for you sort of thing. So that was nice to see. Speaking of kids, you get Damien Woody, Jet Great, from back in the day where they had that dominant offensive line, him talking to Salah. And, once again, this kind of seemed like the family episode. You have Damien Woody talking to Salah saying, oh, I got 7 kids, you got 7 kids. And once again, Salah's got 7 kids. I would love to see how his home life looks with 7 kids. He says that he loves the madness. I want to see the madness. I want to see it. I want to see more of the coach's life. I want to see more of his family. You see one of his sons at practice and Rodgers joking around how he punched him in the face saying, oh, we went to do like this thing and then your son punched me in the face. I haven't got punched in the face in a while. I loved it, sort of thing. It was a nice, cute little thing. And it was good to see some more of the humility of the people in the show on the team. So we got a lot of family in this episode, which I'm happy with. We finally got that. some more things about the team. You had Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson looks really good in this preseason. I know that Hard Knocks does a great job of showing you these different players, and they makes them look amazing when really they're just mediocre. But based on watching the preseason games, Wilson looks like he's coming into his own finally in year 3. There was some very Rodgers-esque moments that they showed in the game where he had this pass and it looked like he just flicked it just like Rodgers does. So he's definitely picking up a thing from him. It shows him talking to Kyle Trask with the Bucs saying, with Rodgers, very similar to like you with Tom beating Tom Brady, because Trask had Tom Brady there originally, saying, you get to learn from them. You get to learn these intricacies that you wouldn't know unless you had been in the league for years. And that's why it's always good to have that older quarterback on the team. I know that the Jets haven't had that, since Wilson got drafted. So it's good for him to finally get some sort of guidance, get some sort of, mentor in a way. And it's nice to see that it's actually rubbing off and paying off. So, there was Rodgers talking earlier this week to the press saying, I'm here for the next few years, but I think Zach's got a long history in this league to be the starter for the next 15 years. So, it shows that he's got faith in Wilson, and I'm fingers crossed as Jets fan. I hope we keep, I hope that stays true. And I hope that we can get faith in him, and that we, after Rodgers retires after 2-3 years, we are in good hands, because it's been a long time since the Jets have been relevant. They're finally relevant this year, and I hope that it can stay consistent with that. Last week I said I wanted more Ron Middleton. We got a couple moments with him this week. Still, I want an actual feature on him, very similar to how we had Bob Wiley with the Browns. I think that he would be the perfect assistant coach to get some, spotlight. And also, we got a redo of the Rookie Show. I know that we talked about it last week, or I talked about it last week, saying that the Rookie Show was not good. But they said they were going to get another to go at it, and they alluded, they got a second chance, and they showed them they did a lot of some singing, and you had this rookie receiver, Jerome Cap, completely doing the rap battle that Eminem does in 8 Mile, where, the Clarence parents sort of thing, 1 Pac, 2 Pac, 3 Pac, 4. And I thought that he killed it, but I also would have loved it if he worked some of the players into what he was saying and actually did his own sort of rap battle, kind of picking up things on Rodgers being old or something like that, or some of the receivers, since he's a receiver, kind of like jabs at the receivers or other players on the team. I think it would have been a nice little fun and I don't know, like something more for the camaraderie of the team. I think it would have been good to show that as well. So overall, it was the most Hard Knocks feeling episode, if that makes sense, based on, everything they showed this week, from the bubble story with Tendil Smart, some of the more of the family stuff with Abanikanda and Smart again, and the Rookie Show and stuff like that. It definitely felt more Hard Knocksy than the last few episodes have. I think we have 2 more episodes. I think it's usually 5 episodes, but usually the 5th episode is more so about trimming the roster down. They said we're not getting that stuff this year, so I don't know if they're going to cut the 5th episode, if it's going to be something weird and completely different, or what the case is. And it was also good to get some of the Breece Hall recovery as well. So overall, it felt like Hard Knocks, and it feels good to finally say it felt like Hard Knocks, because as I've been complaining the last few weeks, it hasn't really felt like it, in my opinion, but we're finally getting there, and we're halfway through. Not that I haven't been enjoying the season, but I haven't been enjoying it as much as other seasons in the past. But overall, I think this was a good episode. I think it did a good job showcasing the different players. And I think that, I'm interested to see what happens, because we're going to get the starters in next week's game against the Giants. So it's good that we're going to get to see some of them in game action, get some of them in the game on the show as well. So we'll get to see Rodgers actually in a game situation. We'll get to see Gardner. We'll get to see a lot of these players that we haven't seen actually play in a game situation. So it'll be good to see that for the next episode. And yeah, join me next week. This has been my recap of episode 3 of Hard Knocks. Hope to see you back again next week.